And that's what we focus on. The information we're using is the same information that's in the public domain. So people can actually find information on the .gov.uk/Windrush compensation scheme. It's also important to note that when updates are put out, we need to find those updates to see what has changed. Update from the Home Office. For example, are we using the latest information? Are we using the latest application? So we always have to check that the update is the right update for our application. Since the government have changed from the Conservative to the Labour government, you will notice that on the .gov site, when they put information out, they would refer to policies of the previous government. And so you can see the difference of what the policy was in 2023 and early 2024. So they do make a distinction between that. So their update will always tell you that it is their update, not the previous government update. And so our mission is really to get more people to apply to the scheme. And there are a number of issues that many people find um, challenging. First of all, not many people understand the scheme, and not many people know how to go about getting the information in order to make the application. So that is the purpose of the Sunday chat to help people with that old process. The starting point is really are people eligible for this scheme? Can I just ask for Samson? Do we have a name for Samson so that I know who's on the call? Just put your name in the chat so I know who it is, please.
Hello, sorry, it's me, Shazza. I'll change my name.
Okay, thank you, Shazza. Yeah. So welcome. So yes, the first step is really for people to check if they're eligible to apply to the scheme. And when we talk about eligibility, it is the eligibility criteria that the Home Office have put out that we have to follow. We have to fit into their eligibility criteria. Now, we will go through that criteria, and we will also look at the different areas of claim, whether that would be for a primary claimant, a close family, or a decease. We'll go through each of those, and we'll be able to also check our eligibility and then also look at an entitlement. Is there a question before I proceed?
Yes, greetings, family. Greetings, Sister Shazza, Brother Roland, and Brother Garrett. I don't know if we physically met before, Garrett, but I think I've met Shazza on numerous platforms, and Roland I've met as well.
Okay.
But my name's Inabong. Liz is what my was given name, but my birth certificate also says Inabong, which is my Nigerian name.
Yeah.
From Nigerian Caribbean origins. One point I'd like to make that I've heard constantly in the preamble, not disrespectfully to you, Brother Garrett, but I've heard constantly in the preamble to most of these discussions is illiteracy. And it's not illiteracy, it's computer illiteracy and legal illiteracy that is the hold up. To say that anybody, it's not that we don't have people who are illiterate because of their lack of resources, but it can be seen as being offensive to say that it's because of our illiteracy that we're not getting the claim, we're not claiming, we're not getting involved in the scheme. It's because we are digitally unable to. I mean, I've got a PhD and I've found the scheme completely inaccessible, as have legal people that we've met in the lobby of Parliament and other platforms we've been on. It's deliberately, obviously, but very difficult to get the grasp of it digitally and legally. So it's our digital and legal illiteracy that are the
barriers
barriers to us.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that correction.
No, thank you for that. And it's a good point.
Repeatedly, it's not that we do have a lower level of educational attainment across the diaspora, but it's not because of that we're not claiming.
Yeah, it's a good point. And so, literacy around computer is very important, and it's not just older people who have that issue or challenges. So I guess we have to, define what those barriers are, because there will be different barriers for different people. I know also that many people will have learning difficulties. So, obvious things may not be obvious to them, and they will need help in order to navigate around these issues, particularly those with.
100% agree about the learning disabilities, because even though, I might see myself as educated, I still have sort of learning disabilities or neurodiverse
Yes.
relationship to this digital platform that we've been forced onto for everything. I didn't get my PIP for 5 years and blue badge and all these sorts of things. But sorry, I won't keep talking personal issues.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah.
As there's only 4 of us here, can I ask what support are we getting from the Windrush National Organisation? Are we all part of that, or is that separate? Because I don't think I saw any of the 4 of us.
Interesting question. The Windrush National Organization, and it sounds as if it is the organization because it's referred to national. I don't know whether or not that's a reflection, because many people don't find it's a national organization to be able to access. It does exist, and we're also a member of the organization. But I guess the issue across the Windrush platform, there are various organizations doing a range of different activity. Not all are doing advocacy work. The key element around supporting people is about the advocacy work, helping people with the application. We don't claim to be an advocacy organization. We are a campaigning organization. However, we work closely with an advocacy organization that can offer the help and support. In Birmingham, for example, where the national organization exists, I don't know how much advocacy work is being done and whether they have in-house advocacy support or they have separate independent referral. I don't know. I haven't got that information. I don't know if Roland, do you know anything more about the advocacy from Winnow?
Sister Shaz,
can I just quickly say,
you're from Birmingham, aren't you, sister?
Yeah, I'm from Birmingham, and I know Desmond Jadu he was doing a tour back in the summer, you know, the Windrush and stuff, and I'm pretty certain that they do offer advocacy work. I don't know who else is involved apart from Desmond, but there are others involved with that process. I don't know names,
Yeah.
to be honest. So
And I
yeah,
think you probably have the same information that most of us would have, that the winnow does support people, but I don't know to what extent the advocacy work is in-house or it's another organization that they're working with. I haven't got that information. However, in supporting people, the key element is around advocacy. The scheme, the design of the Windrush compensation scheme, is quite a complicated scheme, and it is expected that people would just, read the guidance and apply, and everything will be okay. That is not the case. We know that's not the case. And so I think advocacy is a very, very crucial part of helping and supporting people. And so when we do our campaign, the whole idea of the campaigning is getting the message out to people, to let them know, it's the awareness raising, let them know about the Windrush compensation scheme, and then signpost them where they can get help, further help and support. And that is where the advocacy comes in. There isn't enough advocacy available to support Windrush. If you look at the national picture, you take London, for example, in terms of how many organizations in London are doing advocacy work. So you have the Windrush Justice Clinic, um, and London is a very big place. So you think about east of the capital, and then you think about south of the capital, you think about north of the capital, and you think about west of the capital in terms of organization on the ground that is supporting people. And constantly, people are telling us that there isn't enough support. They live in one area and they can't get support in that particular area, and they're having to, either to travel or to find support elsewhere. And this is a national issue. Um, but it required resources in order to, for organization to have the capacity to deliver local support. So you'll find a lot of us who are actually in this space are doing work on a voluntary basis, because there is no resource there to support the work on the ground. Um, and that is lacking. It's been an issue from the start of the scheme, and although over the last couple of years we saw, some money has come into the scheme, the fact of the matter is there is not enough resources to support the work of advocacy. And it's important, to note that when we talk about Windrush, although we talk about Windrush scheme, we're talking about complicated immigration law and rules. That's what caused Windrush. It's about immigration. So there's, it's you need a legal understanding around, the scheme and how it came about and which pieces of immigration rule has impacted on individual, and those laws that has impacted is still applicable today. Those laws are still here. They haven't removed those laws. So that is still a big issue. Roland?
Yeah, in terms of um, advocacy in Birmingham, I'm not sure. Um, in addition to that, Winner is an organization of organizations. So there are a number of organizations that are under the Windrush umbrella, so to speak. Um, and from that, there are various organizations that do advocacy. Um, think there are a couple of them across the Midland. I'm not sure how much Patrick Vernon's organization is involved. And a lot of the organizations do not actually do face-to-face one-to-one meetings, because in a lot of cases that is not really necessary to have one-to-ones as such. And because in those that are outside the UK, quite a number of them will need one-to-one, but they can still make the application, or they have the application submitted without having one-to-one. One of my main concerns is the quality of the advocate. Some quality of advocacy that means dished out, so to speak. I've come across quite a number of applications that were submitted that the impact on life statement to a great extent is very poor. Some of these statements are being submitted by these organizations, and I'm not naming any particular organization. They are at various levels. The impact on life statement is very poor. A lot of them, they're rambling all over the place, and it's like they don't understand the scheme. And that is doing the claimants an injustice. And the problem started, that poor representation started from the get-go of the scheme. That community organizations and volunteers were expected to be doing this advocacy work free of charge. And I think from the get-go that was totally wrong, because you may find an organization or an individual is willing to do some of the work, but when it gets difficult and tricky, they may no longer be interested and not committed. It was said, or the impression is given by the Home Office, that it's a small number of hours that is needed to fill out the form. We're not talking about just filling out the form. We're talking about understanding that particular case, understanding the intricacies and the detail of this case, the impact, the history, etc., etc. And from the impact, what is relevant, how much is relevant to the Windrush compensation scheme, so to speak. And at the Royal Court of Justice, at one of the reviews, judicial review, you think it was established that an average, a claim to do it justice could take 130 to 140 hours to gather all the evidence, send for death certificate, etc., etc. They're talking quite a number of hours there, and not many organizations has got the resources or individuals to actually dedicate themselves to that claim to do it justice that it warrants. And back to what I said earlier on, regarding Jamaica. One of the reasons why a number of people from outside the UK is not applying, and we raise this on the platform at the forum in Jamaica, is that it states that in order to apply to the scheme, you have to first return to the UK. That's why many aren't applying. In addition to that, there have been two major changes to the scheme that has scaled back, that has narrowed the scope of the scheme, and many individuals that were eligible to apply to the scheme are no longer eligible. And it seems as if this has gone over a lot of the advocates' head, and a lot of these organizations' head. The scheme has been majorly scaled back. The scheme that was launched in 2019 is no longer that scheme. When that change was made on the 22nd of June in 2022, January 22, there are a number of individuals, those individuals that lost their indefinite leave to remain as a consequence of being out of the UK for more than 2 years. And Gary Christopher Powell came on the platform.
Yes.
That is the situation with one of his parents.
Yes.
Out of the UK for more than 2 years, lost their indefinite leave to remain, and as a result of that, they were entitled to compensation. That change that was made on the 22nd of June, 22nd January 2022, has faded that out. That does no longer exist. those individuals are no longer entitled to compensation. And those individuals that are approaching the scheme from outside the UK, when they call the 0800 number, should they get through to the 0800 number because it's not that accessible. When they do get through to the 0800 number, they're being told that they're no longer eligible to apply to the scheme. And we are out there promoting the scheme. The ringing of the telephone number that does not that does not work. And in addition to that, when they eventually make contact, they're saying, no, you're not eligible to apply to the scheme. And they're getting out, they're coming up across all these barriers, all this misleading information, and they are going out in the community and they are saying the scheme is no longer running, we can't get through, etc., etc. So the community is aware of that, and the Home Office is not making these things clear. So there are a lot of misleading and mixed messages out there. Why individuals are not applying to the scheme?
Yeah.
Is that the case then? So can you clarify then? Is that the case? Do you have to return to the UK to apply? And is it is it the people who've lost their right to remain that are the people who are eligible? Is that, I know that there's lots of different criteria, but those specific two examples that you've given, that seems to be a big barrier for the people.
It's a barrier. Let me just
respond. Let me come up on this one. That's a very good question. And you having to ask that question is very indicative. Okay?
Well, I'm not getting the answer. I mean, I'm asking the question because, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the answer, right?
Yeah.
Initially, when the scheme was launched, and there have been a number of individuals that have been compensated, right? If you lost your indefinite leave to remain, as a consequence of staying out of the UK for more than 2 years, initially, you could have been entitled to compensation. Whether you've come back to the UK or you're still outside the UK, that has since changed. You're no longer entitled to compensation if you have lost your indefinite leave to remain, or your indefinite leave to remain lapsed due to the fact that you've been out of the UK for more than 2 years. That's one. You're no longer entitled to compensation. In addition to that, yes and no at the same time, you have to return to the UK on a returning resident visa before you can submit a claim to apply to the scheme. That is what is stated in the guidance note. Okay. However, I asked this question on the platform and I was told, no, you do not need to return to the UK. And I asked it a second time. I deliberately asked it, are you saying you do not need to return to the UK? And I was told no on the platform, the forum when we were in Jamaica. However, I do know as a matter of fact that when you call the 0800 number, they tell you need to return to the UK on a returning resident visa or whatever before you submit a claim. That is the case that's what I was told for my mother's application. And in addition to that, we've got a live case where I know of one particular individual. That is what they have experienced, and they had to return to the UK before the claim could progress. So mixed messages are being given now. Now I'm hoping, due to the fact that they said on one of the someone from policy said on the platform while we're in Jamaica that you do not need to return to the UK.
That's correct. They did state that.
I'm hoping that they make that change and have it in the guidance note explicitly.
Yes, because it's not in the guidance as yet. It's not written as yet.
We had the same situation when we were in Bristol earlier on in the year regarding stepchildren, where it was not clear if stepchildren could apply as close family members. We asked the question again, and we were told, yes, they're supposed to be able to apply. So we said to them, have it written in the guidance note explicitly. And they did make the change a few weeks later in April. So these are the things that are happening, Sister Liz. Why there's so much confusion out there. Why a number of individuals are not applying to the scheme.
And also, if you hear verbally on a platform that yes, this is what the current situation is, that should be followed up with amendments to the guidance and the application. And, we've raised a number of issues where, it hasn't been followed up in the guidance. And so we continue to raise those issues until we actually have it explicit written. But we've also raised issues where it has been incorporated in the guidance, updated. But this is why we do the campaign work, because we're challenging the Home Office over policy and procedure. And
Okay.
clearly, what's happening across the scheme is that people are having different experiences because they're hearing different things from different people, and they're not sure whether that is the correct information, because if we then direct them to the guidance and say, okay, in order for you to make an application, you have to follow the guidance as a primary claimant. And if within the guidance that information it's not included, they're lost. And so, this is a difficulty that we are experiencing.
Right. So we can make a complaint. I've just gone back to, so I went to Birmingham. Sorry, I hope I'm not interrupting, but
Go
I
ahead.
went to Birmingham, the Windrush National Organisation Conference. I don't
In
know if you were
October,
there, Sister
yes.
Stats. Were you there, either of you?
No,
I
no,
know
because
Brother Roland wasn't there because he was on his way, I think, in
yeah,
Canada.
that was the day I was traveling to Jamaica.
Yeah, right. So the National Organisation Conference. Okay, so there's a so they had it in Birmingham by the university.
Yeah.
I attended the whole day. I think it was the whole day. Yeah, I attended the whole day. I took screenshots of a lot of the things that were discussed, and I actually challenged the Home Office minister that came. I've got her name there. Sorry, I've sent you. I don't know your details, Brother Garrett, but Seema Malhotra is the
Yes,
new
she been
minister
communicating with
person.
us. Yeah.
Right. So she was speaking at the Windrush National Organisation conference, and I interjected, and I was given such a dirty look from the Reverend. I can't remember what you call his name now. The Reverend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 And
Bishop
and
Desmond.
yeah. So I was given the dirty look, like, because she spoke what she wanted to speak and then run off the stage. And I thought, and I said, hang on a minute. And I challenged her. And so even if they didn't want me to ask her the question, I asked it. And then I got a rapturous round of applause. But then these two white women came dashing towards me. One was her personal secretary, or a private secretary, or whatever secretary. And the other was this person that I've just sent you a picture of the slide that this person had, which is part of the Home Office. See if you know this name, Kate. Sorry, Kate Edwards is a senior caseworker at the Home Office,
Yeah.
and both of them came and said to me, "Oh, contact me," and I haven't got either of their contact details, except there's a what do you call it, a QR code on this slide. But
Yes.
anyway, I haven't got either of their contact details, but they said contact me and we'll discuss your complaint, which was the complaints that we're making here. But then there was a slideshow from the Kate person, Kate Edwards, yeah, that said how to complain about the Windrush compensation scheme. What complaints have we seen? What has happened to the investigation so far? Our report to the media. Yeah. So those slides I haven't sent you yet, but those were the slides that this senior case officer from the Home Office put up. That there's a form of complaint.
Yeah.
So I, as Windrush Justice for Windrush Generations, we make a formal complaint to these, so the thing is, the Parliamentary and Health Service Ombudsman,
Yes.
with the 3 points that you just made just now, is this is contradictory. The thing about the stepchildren, the thing about returning to UK, and the thing about only 2 years for loss of right to leave to remain, indefinite leave to remain, or what the first point was that Brother Roland made, because we're going around in these circles, and I've heard both of those things on this session previously. And if we haven't got that written into the guidance, then other people besides you, me, and and my aunt Sally kind of thing are going to have the same problem repeatedly.
So you must have realized that at that session, the the Home Office would have updated the audience because during that week, October, a number of us met with the Home Secretary in person to talk through some of the issues. And in particular, we raised a number of issues directly with the Home Secretary. And what the Home Secretary had said that the issues that's been raised has been noted, and they were waiting for the Windrush Commissioner public appointment to take place. And that appointment is going to be important because that would be the individual that would have full responsibility over the scheme. Now, as far as I know, that appointment hasn't yet been announced.
No, it can't be announced, because I also challenged the woman, because the MP, because I said, okay, you're saying that nothing's going to happen till you propose to appoint a commissioner. Like all these commissions, like the Post Office and the Health Service and all these people come in that don't know who we are, don't know our organisations, don't speak for us, don't represent us, and are not accountable to us. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but all of those things. Is that person going to be in this room? I actually said, is that person going to be someone in this room? And then that's when the Reverend came to find me and said they had this meeting on the Friday where they were going to give assurances that this commissioner was going to be appointed, but it's not appointed. We have to apply. And somebody with your gravitas, both of your gravitas, and the Reverend, and people who are leading members of the campaign groups need to be the people applying. And I said to them, as soon as you put the application form up, I'm going to apply, not because I think I'm qualified, but because I want to challenge them on making sure that we're accountable. They're accountable, because putting this off, in the meantime, people have died while we've been debating these three subjects that we just talked about. People have died thinking they have to come back to England to claim. My mum and her generation are 90s now. They're not flying anywhere. They can't even fly for their own family funerals.
Yeah. And these are the points that we raised directly with Yvette Cooper, present. We raised these issues directly. And, they've been recorded. We're waiting on this. And I did ask several times about the Windrush reset. The government has planned to actually address this issue across Windrush. We don't know what it means to reset Windrush. We don't know what it means to actually, deliver a better scheme. All the things that was talked about during election and during manifesto, etc. So, there is still, this issue as to when we will see the evidence on the change in Windrush reset and what that will mean for the scheme and for claimant. We don't know.
Can I just quickly ask, what was Yvette Cooper's response to all the concerns that you raised to her?
Well, what she did say that, and there was one important issue that she was very clear, because we did raise the issue that we don't believe that the Windrush scheme should stay within the Home Office, and she did respond to that. And the response she gave was a reasonable response to say that she want to fix the Windrush scheme quite quickly, and removing it from the Home Office, that would be a long delay in order to see effective changes. And we said, oh, okay. So in other words, then you're now telling us that you want to fix Windrush quickly, and she actually tell us that the Windrush unit has been re-established, which was disbanded by the previous government. She has injected 1.5 million into Windrush to improve the scheme and system. So those were the positive things. And then the third thing is wait for this appointment of the commissioner. And we also have said that, this one meeting that we had, should not be just a single meeting. We want to have regular session. We suggested either quarterly session or 6 monthly session with the Home Office, and in particular with this new commissioner when the person is appointed. Those were the things that we put directly to Yvette Cooper.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
And so in January, so we're going to be back in Parliament in January, and I'm hoping between now and then we'll have something that has come out of these conversations. There were a number of organizations present. I think probably 15 or 16 organization was present in the room when we met with the minister, and so and then prior to meeting, we all had to submit a questionnaire, which was a question that the Home Office was asking about the scheme, what needs to improve. We all had to do that. So we had done that prior to meeting with her, what we think should be priorities in improving the scheme.
Was Malhotra there? This
Who?
same deputy, Seema Malhotra, was she present?
No, she was in Parliament on the day.
Can I
Okay,
come in
so
here?
and have you had anything in writing to say thank you for attending and we're doing anything? We've done anything? Because I think 3 monthly is not quick enough. If you're going to
Yeah.
do something quick, 6 monthly is no way is that good enough. We need to be meeting with these people in Parliament monthly and
Yeah.
or the Home
We
Office
haven't
monthly
had
until the changes are implemented.
yeah.
Until the changes, we need to be having some exactly what your platform was that you had with those 15 groups. I assume that the national organisation was there and
Yes, there were.
Preston, etc. The only two that I know besides you is Preston
An
and
organization from Wales was also present. It was
right.
England and Wales that was present.
Yeah. So those organisations should have a letter or a Zoom or a face-to-face meeting every month until this commissioner is made, because you have to have, we need the specifications for their job application. You can't just recruit someone out of fresh air. Again, all of
That was
these
also
people,
raised at the
we need
meeting.
to be able to appoint them. We have to appoint them, we have to advertise for them, we have to make sure they qualify under our schemes, not under who's going to appoint them. The government's failed us. The Home Office is not trustworthy. We're too many organisations individually. So the government, the government, the Home Office, and the organisations need to be sitting down to do the job specification, job description for that person, because
Yeah.
you can't. And again, we can't trust the civil servants either.
Yeah.
So
That was
on your
raised. That was raised very strongly.
we need, is there somebody who organised that meeting that you can write to today and say, what's the follow-up from that meeting? It was in October, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And these 3 points about this commissioner being appointed, who is going to appoint them? Because I asked that and I got shushed.
Roland?
Just to come out to what Sister Shaza said. Don't have too much expectations, Sister Shaza. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't applying to the scheme, because they know there has not been any commitment to the Windrush scheme from the get-go, right from the top down. When the scheme was launched, there were a lot of typos. Even the application that was sent out, they were not validated, there were no checks. No one was keeping on top of anything. You will hear a lot of fluff going forward. Just like you will hear a lot of the utterances about, oh, we've launched a telephone number in Jamaica, etc., etc. How could it be that there's a telephone number that these individuals should be contacted? Jamaica is the most disproportionately impacted, more than any other. Yet you've got a telephone number there that was not working, and it's as if the Windrush task force were not aware that the telephone number is not working. You use WhatsApp, we use email, etc., etc. Every other minute, or at least a few times per day, we check to see what email is coming, etc., etc. For the telephone number to be there not working for so long, that means a manager or someone is not committed to ensure that this telephone number and the means of communication is up and running. That means they're not committed. And that means right up to the Home Secretary is not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not committed to the scheme. What you'll hear going forward is a lot of fluff, a lot of utterances with nothing behind it. What will also be happening, I'm glad this is recorded, so I can be proven wrong at some point if I am. What may be happening as we speak, Sister Shaza, that you'll find individuals and organizations from the community. I may not be of the community, I may not have the community's interest at that may be having secret meetings with the Home Office. And we may find that we do not know who is speaking to the Home Office and what they're talking about and if it's in our interest. And what you'll find days or years later, that we may have to live with the consequence of these discussions that are taking place. I am of the view that from the get-go, from the launch of the scheme, when the consultation that was going on, a lot of the people that were at the table, maybe possibly they should not have been at the table. And a lot of people that should have been at the table were not at the table. People were clued up on the history of what has gone on, people with a lived experience, etc. And people are willing to challenge the Home Office right up to Home Secretary were not there because they were not singing the tune that the institution, that the wrongdoer wants to hear. And that is going on. A lot, you will find there are a lot of pacification going on, a lot of things by the community to make the community feel comfortable in the space. They feel comfortable with the scheme, and we move forward and move on to other things. Okay, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy the way things are going. I am of the view from the day the Home Secretary enter office, she should be clued up exactly on what's happening. She should know how the scheme is failing, why the scheme is failing, and have a gun, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, ready to fire on the get-go, ready to go. She knows that there are people locked outside the UK and can't make application to the scheme. She should know, if she's concerned, based on the impression that she's given, she should know that the communication is not good enough. She should know that the scheme is being used to frustrate and antagonize and to a great extent prolong the suffering of these individuals. She should not be searching for the facts. She should not be searching for what to do and how to do it. She should be on point and know exactly what needs to be done. Just like a few days ago, there's the post office bill, right? And that is moving. Why is she searching around in the dark now, looking for things to do, how to do it, and so on? One of the reasons why that is happening, because there are people among us, I am of the view that there are people among us that is gatekeeping. I do not have Justice for Windrush generation has not got a clear channel as to who to communicate with in terms of what we have experienced. We find that there are intermediaries, there are conduits that you have to go through, and you go through those conduits and they present what you present or want to present after they have interpreted and put it in the way they want to put it. That should not be the case. Okay. The minister, the Home Secretary said they want to do a reset, right? What is this reset? What does that mean? Why isn't there a list that we're going to do this, this, and this in order to we can get to that point? Why are there no clear aims and objectives? Or where we want to get to? What we're going to do in order to get where we want to be? Why is all this fluff being thrown out? And that is why I go back to why these claimants are not applying to the scheme. They are not applying to the scheme because they're not dumb. They're not stupid. They know that when the PPI situation occurred, they know that there's a telephone number there that you claim, that you call, and there's someone at the end of the phone that answers the phone, etc., etc. They know that when you're running a business, the manager will check to ensure. Do you think Barclays Bank or in an insurance company would have a telephone line that is not working for months upon months, and no one knows where to call? When you call the number and you ask for X, Y, Z, no one knows what you want, what should be happening. No one, misleading information is being given now. You wouldn't want a bakery like that, and we know it. And these individuals are saying that they're representing the Windrush generation and their descendants. They need to be very vocal, and focused as well, and saying exactly what is happening out here. And it's not being said. I'm not getting the energy that it is being said. There's a lot of cackling going on. There's a lot of grinning going on when they meet with these people. And it's like, it's a joke. And in addition to that, I'm going to go beyond that. The reason why a lot of these people are behaving when they go around the Home Secretary and the decision makers, because these people have got comfortable beds to go to sleep in. They are not the ones that's sleeping at the back of the warehouse, like the gentleman in East London that's going to head there again. Delroy Foster was walking around Twickenham and Shepherd Bush, sleeping in his jacket, T-shirt, and everything that he wore in his day clothes, right, in order to keep warm. Why was that the case? Because he was sleeping in a house without any electric, without any gas, and he had to be going to my friend's restaurant with a leftover food on a Saturday night, and be walking from South Norwood on the bus in the middle of the night, getting up in Shepherd Bush and have to walk for nearly a mile because the bus was not running at 2 o'clock in the morning. That is what he was experiencing. However, on the platform, the Windrush managers from the Windrush, from the task force, were they saying what a great and wonderful job the vulnerable person team is doing. That was not the case, because I was on the phone with them the day before trying to get some assistance to this man. And they were challenging me. They were unwilling to do so. When I raised it on the platform, a number of individuals were not happy that I did that. And the following day, 10 a.m. in the morning, they had a meeting. These are the nonsense that are going on, and it needs to stop forthwith. And these false impressions that are being given, that is being fed to the community, it needs to stop. What I experienced in Jamaica, it was just a joke. It's a gimmick. People were laughing at me. They were going to the extent that they believe that I'm being fraudulent, that saying there was a scheme going on. There's a scheme going on. Here, I'm going to call the number. Here's what's happening. It's not ringing. Why are you telling me that the scheme is up and running? Why are you telling me that I can apply to the scheme and I'm not in the UK? It says I've got to return to the UK in order to apply to the scheme. So how can I apply to the scheme? How can my mother apply to the scheme when she's 89 years old and has been locked out of the UK for whatever reason? Are you saying my 92-year-old infrail mother got to go back to the UK in order to apply to the scheme? And this is what these people expect us to go there and promote. This is what these people expect these individuals to be applying to. It's nonsense, and we need to call it out wherever. First, we need to call out those people, not just right up to the Home Secretary, the people that are among us, that are hearing the nonsense and know it's nonsense and it's garbage, and they stood next to the Home Secretary and they're not calling them out. Let's start calling out those people first of all. Because if they're not doing that, that means they are misleading the community and they are complicit.
Complicit, yeah.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
We need to be calling. I said call them out, not calling them out in generality. Specifically call names.
Yeah.
Where we're at the moment, I've been saying this for a long time. We need to talk specific. Name the individual. If it's Bishop Jadu, he's not calling out the Home Secretary. When the Home Secretary is doing, if it's on a platform, it's whoever. If it's Roland Housling and he stood next, Roland is stood next to the Home Secretary, and the Home Secretary is giving the wrong information, then you need to say Roland Housling is not doing what he's said he's doing. He's giving us the wrong impression. We need to be calling names. That's where we are, because these people that are out there suffering, they are individuals.
Yeah.
They are suffering. There are people walking around in Jamaica, Ghana, etc., can't afford to buy their medication. They're on £15 per week, £20 per week, due to the Home Office's action.
Yeah.
Deliberate, calculated action that caused these people to be suffering. Therefore, we need deliberate and calculated action in order to put it right. Not vagueness, not ambiguity, not non-specific utterances. We need action, and we need it forthwith. This has been going on since this scheme was launched in 2019. Everything should be validated by now. Everything should be up and running. We should not have telephone lines that don't work. Exactly. And I can tell you, Garrick asked earlier on, he said earlier that he doesn't know if it's something happening in Jamaica. I tell you specifically what happened in Jamaica. The telephone line is dead, Garrick. Okay? Dead, totally dead. I called it numerous times. I called it, friends call it, various individuals call it. It doesn't work.
But why is it a phone number when there's a website, or they're saying go to the library? When you go to the library and you fill in the forms, what happens then?
Well, this is where, and we confirm while we were in Jamaica that the decision that was taken to for access to library services across the island, it was never implemented. That's what we were told in November while we were there. It was never implemented. So for 18 months, nothing has happened.
To the library and they've been told what you're talking about. So people have been going up to the library and they're saying what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, because
so frustrating.
Professor Livermore reported to us that the Jamaica Library Services, right, had accepted, and they will be implementing. Access would be via the library services. Yeah. However, that was never implemented, and nobody did anything for 18 months. Only while we were there, and we spoke to the head of library services, and she confirmed it was, the strategy was agreed, but it's not been implemented. And then that was fed back directly by Professor Livermore in a meeting that we held in Brixton Seventh-day Adventist Church, where the Home Office was present in person. And what we said in response, that they should consider the recommendation that Professor Livermore has put forward, and also implement that across the Commonwealth countries, in all the other countries. That could be the format to be used. So, we don't know where that conversation has gone since that happened. Nothing. Yeah. We haven't seen any evidence of the conversation being implemented.
That's not rocket science. That sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is that Professor Livermore, is field finding the visit, fact finding visit. That was his own initiative at his own cost. The Home Office did not pay for him to go to Jamaica and do this work. He did this off his own back and produced a report back to the Home Office, giving them recommendations on his return. Now, although that was under the previous administration, all these documentation must exist in the Home Office, regardless of whether it was a year or 2 years ago. It must exist because the Home Office keep information.
It doesn't matter if it's the old or new administration.
Precisely, and as Roland rightly says, the that would show the commitment. The fact of the matter is that we've not seen the actions out of these things show there is no commitment. I raise a question directly with the Home Secretary on the post office, and I compare the post office Horizon scandal with Windrush. And I ask a question that there is no equity with Windrush and the post office. We've seen how quickly the government of the day responded to the post office scandal, and
Not
how
really.
quickly they agree, yeah, to actually squash the miscarriage of justice by bringing new legislation in.
Yeah, but it was 20 years ago that these people lost their jobs and their houses.
Yes, yes,
But
that is
still,
that
it's
is
not.
so.
It's
But
but as soon
also,
as they recognised it, they did.
yes, and the
They
fact of the matter
implemented it.
is, the
Agree.
post office scandal numbers is not as great as the Windrush numbers, in terms of people who've been affected. Yeah? And we make the comparison: 600,000 initial payment for the post office scandal, and 10,000 for Windrush. And the 10,000, it took us 3 years to get to 10,000. It started at £250. That's the reality.
I know. I mean, I think campaigners have done a brilliant job in exposing this inequities, but the campaigns have, put down in black and white what the inequities are, but nobody's doing anything with it. And it's not your fault, because you've opened up. You said to them, "This poo needs flushing." Sorry to be an inappropriate analogy. And they're going, yeah, it's a good idea, but they're still letting it stink.
Now, the thing is, the next big challenge for us is this. And I've been talking with the Hillsborough team around, the new bill that's coming through to legislation around public advocacy, in order for organization and individual civil servant to tell the truth. And if you look at public inquiries, what we've seen COVID public inquiry, we've seen Grenfell public inquiry, and we need to have a Windrush public inquiry, because until we get to that position and put people on the stand, right, people who've been involved with Windrush, to speak and tell the truth, how the department and the civil servant, what they've been doing for the past 6 years in relation to Windrush. We have to get to a position where is a public outcry and get a public inquiry. In my view, that is going to be significant.
I totally agree. I agree with that 100%.
And what the Hillsborough people have said, they will help. They said they will help us, because the fact of the matter is, the public advocacy bill is about getting public organization, right, to actually tell the truth, and under oath, right, to be questioned and to be challenged. Now, we don't want Windrush to just continue as just another scandal. If you look at all the other scandal, that's currently out there, Windrush is at the bottom of the pile.
Yes, exactly.
That needs to change.
Yeah, we need the public inquiry, because it will establish also that the scheme is continuing being used to abuse and prolong the suffering.
Absolutely.
Deliberate to the suffering.
And we've seen the document that was published on the 27th of September, the document that they were prepared to bury about, race, the whole issue around black and brown people and immigration. Yeah, that document is now in the public domain. That document been released. Yeah, how legislation was used in relation to black and brown people. And they didn't
My
want us.
concern,
We always suspected that, but we didn't have the written proof. Now we have the written proof in this report.
my
How can we
concern is,
get that report rammed down their throats
Well,
and get it out there in the
this
public?
report is going to be the basis for us to do further work. And it's interesting because people now, and I have to say this, and I still can't get my head around this. We have very good lawyers in this country, good lawyers, both black and brown lawyers. I don't understand why is it that in our legal membership we cannot find lawyers to take these challenge on, to challenge the government. I know people say, "Oh, judicial review is expensive and it costs a lot," but I don't understand why we cannot come together and actually do a legal challenge against the government, against the Home Office, in relation to how Windrush has been administered.
one
Well,
of my biggest
one of the
concern
things
is,
about
and
legal, sorry, one of the
Carol's
things
on his
about taking any legal challenge on is process, due process, they keep saying. I'm not legal anything, but I watch all these TV shows. But when I've taken the employment tribunal,
Yeah.
that's the only time I've used the legal system. We've had it used against us in housing issues and all sorts of other things, and being what's the word where you get evicted and all these. But the process, right? If they don't follow the process, one step out of the process, it gets thrown out.
Mm.
So when I said about making a formal complaint as Justice for Windrush, we can make a formal complaint through the ombudsman, and then if that A, we don't get a reply, or B, it fails, then we can say this has been found to be accepted by the ombudsman as these are failings of the scheme.
Mm.
We've made this complaint formally through the ombudsman or whatever this person is, and we have found you to be lying. I have to use the word lying, but lying or deficient, then let's say, in what you're saying, because what you're doing has the opposite effect. Then we don't get a reply. Then you can go to judicial review. Then you can't just walk from here
Yeah.
to the end of the street without having to touch pavement. We
Yeah.
have to touch pavement between here and the end of the street. So I keep using these metaphors, stop it, Liz. But, we need to, I think that's what we can do. If they've said there's a complaint scheme, we need to complain,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah. I agree. We got to follow the processes.
Carol's on
And
his
one of the thing that there is this thing about collective what they call the term,
Class action.
yeah, class action. And I have made some inquiry about this, and it is possible to bring class action, but we have to focus on one particular thing.
Yeah.
Carol's hand is up, and her hand is up for quite a while. Can we go to Carol, please? Because her
Yes,
hand is up
please,
for quite a while.
Carol, can we get your point, please?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
I'm in total agreement with everything that's been said right now, even though I did attend a little bit late. But I've heard what I've heard Roland's report on what has been happening in Jamaica. And also, it's disgusting that, or should I just say, I appreciate all the people that have taken their money, gone to the Caribbean out of their own pocket. Like I know of Nigel Guy who did that as well, went to all the Caribbean islands to actually do the research, come back and tell the government what is needed, and then still nothing has been done. And I remember being in Jamaica at the time in 2017 and hearing the public apology from Theresa May,
Yes.
and then coming back to the UK and hearing from Martin Ford that they put him in place of actually focusing on what is needed to create a Windrush compensation scheme, which is easily processed to be done as quickly as possible. And it's almost 7 years on now.
Yes.
And a lot of people have died. A lot of people, I'd say there's a small proportion of people that have been paid something, but like I've heard from, her name is Katie, I think it's Wilson, Katie Wilson.
Yes, I know Katie.
Yeah, there was a definite class and color scheme going on with the delivering the applications. So she said, as a mixed race person, she was able to access and get support quicker than her family members that were fully, African descent.
Yes.
And so, therefore, like Liz was just mentioning, by law, if somebody has actually set out to do a structured program of things, the public, I don't know exactly how much it costs to get the Windrush statue erected. There was a all around national party for the Windrush generation, that everybody was entitled to Windrush community parties, and there was all this funding to remember them. But when it came to actually delivering that money, I know of one case where a man was not well. He came to England, but he wasn't well. And he was repeatedly, for about 4 years, was being sort of like fobbed off, told to go from pillar to post, your local MP, go to your, you need to contact the Windrush scheme. And in the end, they said that they would give him the money. And then they turned around and said, no, at the last minute, he didn't agree to the compensation scheme, so he didn't get anything. And this is an elderly couple in the Caribbean. I would say that because I don't know exactly what it is, why they treat people like criminals at the immigration office like that. I don't know how they can just treat people like that, but it's, if it was happening in England in the same way, they would call it racism, how they were treated, about, told that they were lying and wasn't able to get access to come back to the UK. So all I'm saying is that it is exhausting to be a victim of race discrimination. This is not going on for a little while, but to have it, these are loyal citizens of our, humanity. And basically, they had the rights, but their rights are not, what would I say? It's like when it comes to their rights, when it comes to the law, it's not applicable for our community. And that's what I'm very upset about.
Yeah.
And I feel like all the 15 organizations that was there, they are needed, and we all need to find a way of working together as a team.
Yeah. I mean, the
Thank
fact of the matter is, Carol, that, each year we have the Windrush National Vigil in Brixton, and
Right.
come next April, we'll be there again. It will be 7
Okay.
years on. And the purpose of us having that annual vigil is to make sure that the Windrush agenda is not lost. It's kept, it's kept high on the agenda. But also, the first generation of 1948, very few of that generation are still living, and they're in their mature years now. And many of those are not in this country; they're back in their own countries, etc. And the way that they're being treated with regards to this scheme is
Yeah.
certainly a concern.
Yes.
But also, second and third generation who were born in this country, has never known another country, they're also experiencing, difficulty with regards to Windrush and, getting their status, etc. So, and the thing is,
Yeah.
this is nothing new. Right from the start of the scheme, we've always said not enough effort was done on the Home Office in order to raise public awareness about the scheme. And as Roland has previously said, very much UK central, the scheme. The scheme affect people from 65 countries. And logically, you would expect information should be out in those
Yeah.
65 countries about how you can make application to the scheme. And we've been fighting this now for the last 5-6 years, that the Home Office is not doing the job. It shouldn't be individual who go
Yeah.
out to Jamaica on a vacation or on a different matter and say, oh, we need to do something about Windrush. It should be the Home Office who take
Yeah.
responsibility directly for that information to get out to those countries and to make sure that the information is there, accessible, not just in the UK, but in those 65 countries. We've been
Yeah.
pushing that agenda, for some time. I am hoping that under the new Home Secretary, that will become a reality. I don't see evidence of that as yet, but that need to be a reality where people can get the information in their own country how to make application to the Windrush scheme. And if they choose to return to the UK, that should be their choice. That
Yeah.
should be their choice. It
Yes,
should
that's
not
correct.
be a criteria, a prerequisite that you have to return to the UK. And although the Home Office told us verbally online in our session that people do not have to return to make the application, we have not seen the guidance updated to confirm that. And we're
Yeah.
pushing for that to be included in the guidance. And we do get monthly updates. So this government agree for monthly updates. So I'm hoping that it will get in the guidance very quickly.
Okay.
Can
Well,
I comment here, please?
thank you, thank you. Can I just
Yes, go ahead.
make a comment on that in reply to that? I just want to say commend you all and thank you very much for the the tireless, like self-motivation and going, just keep going for all these years. And I just want to say that the Windrush issue it's like the tip of the iceberg. And what I would like to just suggest is that the root cause of this systemic racism, that legislation does not apply
Yeah.
to a certain type of human being in this on this on this globe. It's a global issue. And what I would suggest is that there's the reparations meeting that is going on and people that are stepping up to say and speak out for reparations, which it's a kind of a compensation scheme. Let's call it the original, diaspora Windrush. yeah, for all those people that came over on the ship, yeah, of in during slavery days, and they were due to get compensation, yeah, and they didn't get anything. So I think that, you know, everybody's speaking about our community like, oh, you know what, this happened ages ago, and you know, like it's, you know, the elders, they know, the elders that are living, the reason why they've lived so long is because they've got a secret strategy of how to push through. They push through all the racism, all the legislation that was against them, and they came together. And I'm just requesting that you work together as well with the reparations team, because they're requesting compensation in a
Yeah.
different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say with that, Carol, and just before I bring the other two hands in, the only thing that I would like to say, reparation, we've always made it quite clear that we focus exclusively around Windrush. We are members of a reparation organization. So both Roland, myself, and others, we're part of the Global African Congress, which is a Pan-African organization around reparation. The reparation argument is being fought out there. We've got CARICOM, we've got a number of people tied into that. However, we always make the distinction
Yeah.
between Windrush, keeping Windrush separate from reparation. Although
Okay.
you can have the argument to see how they relate, we always try to separate those
Yeah,
two.
I understand that.
Yeah, for the
I just
simple
want to,
reason that we have a process that help us around Windrush. There is no process around reparation. They're still having conversation how that old 12-point plan is going to work, etc. But the thing is, you know, we cannot work in isolation, none of us. In any
exactly.
organization, whatever we're doing, whether we're
Mm,
working on reparation or we're working on Windrush, we have to work together. And those are the challenges, working together and
yes,
and ritually fighting for the same cause.
yeah.
Because we're out there fighting for people, human rights,
Mm,
right? We're fighting for people, and we need to come together and put our differences and just
yeah,
focus
yes,
on
yeah,
the thing that we're doing.
that's right. Because I just want to say, because I know that you're focusing on one specific area, and that's where I believe they say, united we stand and divided we fall.
Yes.
And when we come together, literally, you know, so that they can see across the whole board, it didn't just happen with Windrush.
Yeah.
This has been going on for over 400 years.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it's, and within this generation of people, there is so much that has happened, and it's still happening now to our demise on a global level. And so, therefore, to say, oh, yeah, we're going to just, you know, if the UK gets it all sorted out, we can just forget them. And then why? What? Look, now we gave them an inch, they're giving them a mile. But I'm just saying that on a global level, we
Yeah.
need to come together and have you, people like you, yeah, as standing points, that there may be a 5-point agenda plan that we have to have for
Yeah.
ourselves. We can't look at this government and expect them to have any respect for us. Yeah.
I agree totally.
And to expect them to really do anything. So
Yeah.
we really need to
Yeah.
come together. If there's Windrush people there, people that say in the Pan African about the reparations something about, you know, what's going on with the war and, you know, different,
Yes.
there's
Yes.
different people. We need to come together because our people are dying and they're not being treated fairly. The care in the care homes, you know, the medication, there's all these different aspects that's
Yeah.
affecting us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can't be said that, okay, we're just going to look at one thing. And if there is the lawyers and solicitors that we can get together, it's time that we do get them all together
Absolutely. Yeah.
and what, you know, so thank you for listening. I can't stress how important it is for us to be able to put our differences aside and work together in
Yes.
unity. So
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
that's going to be done.
Yeah, I mean that is something that we have to continue to challenge. And on a Sunday, the Global African Congress, online, this is where we bring the global conversation in one space. And these topics, and what you said, we have a whole range of topics that comes under that global umbrella. We've got wars in different parts of Africa. We've got Palestinian issue. We've got climate change. We've got all these big issue that is
Yeah.
impacting on black and brown people, right?
Mm.
They're a massive issue. And we have to recognize that at the moment, the way we see the world is that it's almost as if black and brown people is being targeted. They want to exterminate all of us because
Yeah.
they want to control the wealth that our country have.
Well, they have been. Yeah, they
Yeah,
have
get
been
get rid of the
controlling.
people, and then you have access to the wealth. That is their mission, and
Yeah.
we have to challenge those in every way we can
Yeah.
to stop them from doing that. It's
Oh,
a massive agenda, but
yes.
we all need to be aware that these issues are real. These issues are not they're not going to go away.
Yeah.
They're not going to
They're
go
not.
away.
And
If necessary, they're going to get worse.
we can't have the perpetrators that have, you know, the Home Office saying that we're going to treat you fairly when it started with them in the first place.
Yes, yes. And as I
And
said, the legislation that has caused the problem, those pieces of legislation are still in operation. They're still being
yeah.
used. So you would have thought that, one of the things that they would do was to
Yeah.
remove that legislation or to amend it and take those pieces out that had impacted on the Windrush generation. But that's not the case. They're
Right.
still there.
Okay,
Can I
thank
come in
you.
here, Derek, please?
Yes, Roland.
All right, let me be clear. In terms of what is mentioned about reparation, a number of things are mentioned
Mm,
regarding the wars that are going on and so on. I am involved with other things. In fact, this Wednesday, and I'm on the panel at the House of Commons regarding reparation. However, when it comes to Windrush, I'm very much single-minded and very targeted.
mm-hmm.
Okay, specific about that. Okay, and very selective about that. Okay. Um, I don't want to bring other issues into it because it can be used as a distraction and to deflect from the issue of Windrush. And primarily focused on compensation. Compensation more even over status because many individuals are impacted and have been put at a disadvantage and are particularly interested in status, especially those from outside the UK. And all of the times when the scheme is spoken about, people are saying getting a status ready. I'm sorry, status sorted before compensation. But for many individuals, getting British status is of no significance to them. If you're locked outside in Jamaica, Barbados, Ghana, whatever, at 89 years old, 87 years old, in many cases, you're not particularly interested in the status. There are many who are. Now, in terms of the mention, taking the legal route, so to speak, going to court, etc., etc., where we are at the moment, in terms of the utterances that have been made by the Labour Party, the Home Secretary, etc., etc. What we need to do is be very targeted and specific and get the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister to do what they indicated that they were going to do. Okay? We need to hold them to account. They said they're going to reset the scheme. We need to engage them. I said, you said you're going to reset the scheme. What is this reset you're talking about? To us at the moment, it's looking like you're just talking fluff. You're not talking, you're just talking, but you have got no intention of actually doing what you're saying. In addition to that, we expect you, the Home Secretary, specifically Yvette Cooper, I'm talking, she is the current Home Secretary. Based on the utterance that she has made, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, what he mentioned, reset as well, should be saying to them, do what you're supposed to do. And you should know exactly what needs to be done based on what you've been saying. If you do not know what needs to be done at this stage, one of the first things you need to do is engage with those that has been impacted, those that have got lived experience, and those that have been saying that the scheme needs to be changed and are willing to tell you where and how the scheme needs to be changed. And what you should not be doing is engaging with your favorite community leaders, those that are willing to go on the exercise of pacifying the community. And next thing we need to do is be speaking clearly to the organizations that are speaking with the Home Secretary and the other decision makers, and be saying to them, do not be holding any meetings behind your back, having discussion, talking about what nothing we know about. Because if you're doing that, then you do not represent us. And also be saying to them, that approach has been taken before and it has failed the community miserably. And we are saying to you as an organization, whether it's Winner, Justice for Windrush Generation, Windrush Life, do not be taking us down that road because you will not have our support. That is my view at the moment. The door is open, so to speak, and we have been invited in. So we need to engage them at the level that they're willing to, that they say they want to engage us. And act not on any belief, make no assumption. Do not take anything that they say at face value. Only believe what they see happen. If they say they're going to do a reset, said yes, we agree to a reset. Now, what is that? Tell me the reset that you're thinking. Because here's the reset that we would like to see. Here is the reset that, based on our experience, that would put those impacted back in the position they would have been. We should not be wandering all over the place, right? The Home Secretary and the minister have got the power to make the changes. They are saying that they're willing to make the changes. Let's call their bluff.
Can I just ask you something, Roland?
Also, keep your mind on, keep your eyes on those within our community and make sure they're not leading us off the edge of a cliff. Because I'm clearly saying to you, we are at the point where that is quite possible. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to put it this way. We are at the stage that it's quite possible, quite probable that we'll be led off the edge of a cliff by those who claim that they're representing us. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm glad this is being recorded. If I am wrong and what I'm asserting, I'm totally wrong, I have got no issues with apologizing. But I'm saying to you, I've got good reasons to be thinking the way I'm thinking and saying what I'm saying. Because I think we're heading down the road, probably heading down the road of disaster due to misrepresentation within our community and lack of forthrightness and transparency.
Well, I think
I'm saying that with confidence.
They're making it look that way just because they don't want to pay nothing.
Making look what? Look, when you say it, what are you referring to?
What I'm trying to say is the government has already said that they wanted to sort this out as soon as possible. And I watched them for 3 years have a commissioning survey for people to say, what do you think should be happening for this compensation scheme for 3 years? They said, now what Liz said, the law this is not, this is not just some little community event. This is in the House of Commons. This is where law and legislation stands. And what I'm saying is the law has not been applicable to our community. So therefore, us as a community now, you as a leader, with those other people that you think are complicit with the government, because they would lead us off at the edge of a cliff too, if they had the opportunity, which they're saying, yes, we're going to do something. And these people have died within the first 3, 4, 5 years of this whole campaign. So what I'm saying is the foundation that we're standing on, right? Our families, our communities came together and were not even able to access benefits. And they brought their own houses. And what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is for us to you, Roland, I'm calling on you now, to create this a plan, a strategy in place where when they come saying that, yes, we have to leave it in the Home Office's hands, no, they don't, because you can have something in place with the other organizations that is going to work more efficiently.
Yeah,
Here's my starting point on that.
it's a good point.
Hold on. Here's my starting point on that. I want a clear channel of communication directly with the decision maker. And as far as I understand it, based on what the meeting we had, is the minister, Mr. Seib. Okay? I want a clear line of communication with her, right? Okay. When I get that clear line of communication, I want to understand where she's at, where's her thought process, what this reset look like, okay? I have got a number of recommendations I would like to put forward to her. If that line of communication is open up, channel of communication is open up, then I'm willing to feed back to the community and speak to the community and let me know, right? Let her know that they said, the Labour Party did say that they're willing to make changes. Let's go, let's move. We don't want to be dragging all over the place. Yeah. I am capable, along with others, and I'll say to her what those others are, right? What specifically, the intricacies and the details of the failing. Here are the failings. Here is what needs to happen in order to make the scheme fit for purpose. As per your apology, as per your promises, we don't want to be going all over the place and be going through the community conduit. I understand basic English. You understand English as well. I'll communicate directly with you to you. I don't need any intermediaries. I'll bring a number of individuals to you, and as per the scheme, I'm not asking for anything more than we deserve. Likewise, I'm asking you not to expect us to take anything less than we deserve. And I'm going to speak based on specifics, and I'm going to speak based on what has been happening, like the phone not working in Jamaica, etc., etc. And I don't want it to be dragged out, and there should be no justification. All I'm saying, all I'm doing is calling their bluff, so to speak. They are the ones that say they're going to do it, and they are the ones that say the door is open. Come on in. I want to find out how I'm going to come on in. Which door are you talking about? What are we going to have this discussion in? And total forthrightness and total transparency. That's my approach going forward. Okay. I'm not saying we can't do the judicial and all that, because it needs to be a multi-pronged approach. But in terms of the government, in terms of the decision maker, we need to have clear and be concise and be targeted as to what we're going to do going forward. So that is my approach. I have already written to the minister. So I am waiting for that clear line of communication.
The post office scheme, I know we keep comparing, but the post office scheme sat in some committee in Parliament. So I think it was sort of like the Parliament people said, we're hearing that you've done this. We want to know who's responsible, who can we blame, what is the outcome, and what are you going to do about it? Yeah. So those are the committees. Has there been one like that for Windrush?
So,
That's
Liz, the
because
post office scandal sits within the business sector of the
yeah,
government,
that's right. Because that's
right?
where
Now,
Kemi sat
and
down with that lot.
we,
I've just got 3 quick questions because we're going to run out of time.
yeah,
But so that's my first question: is there a committee that we can go to? So that was business, but this will be a Home Office one, yeah. So the documents.
Definitely.
So when you said that people were told that they had to return to Jamaica, from Jamaica to Britain, or from Barbados or Nigeria, wherever it was, to Britain before they were going to get their A status or B compensation, I'm sort of still got my mouth open because the whole people that have gone to Jamaica or Barbados or Nigeria have been left out in those places. Like you said, use the term left out. They're being deported to those places because they've been told that they haven't got a right to remain. They've been not allowed to come back in the country. So why would they do what how is the first point of their redress of this injustice
yeah, but the
to
argument,
knock on the door of
the
the
Home
door that
Office,
British
the
land bring
Home
their
Office
way?
will say this. The Home Office, because we raised this directly. The Home Office will say they can return to the UK. Yes, there's a means for them to return. We're saying they may choose not to return. They don't want to return. Why
But they
should they
wouldn't
be
need
forced
to.
to return? So
Yeah,
you can still process their application, right,
yeah.
without returning.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing is then we have this we keep I'm not I agree totally with both the brothers that have spoken that we must not conflate reparations and Windrush. We must focus on Windrush because that's something we can focus on. It's specific and it's something that we are on this platform to discuss. But walking to having vigils, all of this sort of thing is like you and me standing outside the cemetery where our friend has passed. Nobody sees us at a vigil. Nobody hears us at a vigil. When we talk again about the whatever reparations or Windrush, we're having lobbies behind closed doors. We need to be out on the street. The first year, 2018 actually, Carol, not 17, 2018, we went to a meeting in Hackney Town Hall, and it was all, oh yes, we should have a celebration of Windrush. And some brethren, I remember the name because you'll all know him, but said, why are we celebrating? Why should we be demonstrating? And
Yeah,
I went to that first demonstration. I don't think there's been one since.
yeah.
We dropped a flag over the bridge
But do
at
you know
Parliament
why there hasn't been any demonstration? Because the
because these
government brought
people are.
about new legislation to make sure that people could not actually be on the street in
No,
great numbers.
no, because I've been on the street in great numbers several times since that legislation, even on the day of that legislation. So, and we know about the riots.
Yeah.
So and we
Because
must, and
we
we
used
have
to have
to.
people
We have
literally
to
out
riot,
there,
brethren. We
on
have
the
to.
street
The
on a
only
regular
time that
basis.
they listen to you, me, or anybody is when we're on the streets in mass. And what we're doing is going to meetings and sitting there politely having these discussions on Zoom or wherever in behind closed doors. Lobbies, I'm going to be there on Wednesday and I'll be making sure, and I've already written to my MP and I'm doing, but we need to have every 23rd of June, there hasn't been one since that 23rd of June,
Yeah,
we have to have a demonstration on the street and let
yeah.
them tell us that we cannot.
I
I dare
agree.
them.
I
I
agree
dare
with you.
them. Right. So that's
I
number
agree with you.
two.
We need
When
to
you
be
say the
seen.
lawyers, there was
Yeah,
a group called Lawyers Together for Windrush. So I don't know what the togetherness is if they're not together.
yeah,
And the 10-point manage. Why we nobody tells me what I need to ask for from my MP. I tell my MP what I need to ask for from them.
yes.
Even if the Labour government says we're going to have a reset, that's up to them. You do what you do. But I've given you a 10-point manifesto from the what was that group called? The
Action for Race Equality.
yeah. We sat down together. I was there with you all, and we said these are the 10 points. Was reset in that 10 point? I don't know if it was. And the final thing is documents. documents. Again, I'm just going to make this point, and it's just the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm actually speaking at this reparations thing in 5 minutes. Is that they know if I walk into Britain without a piece of paper, they will know who I am, how many times I've come through the door, whether it's with a Barbados passport or with a British passport or in chains, right? They will know every time I've moved. They will know every time I've claimed for a benefit, and they will know every time I've gone to hospital. So why is it that they still put on us that we have to find the documents? That's my last point. But so thank you very much for today's discussion.
Thank you for your contribution, Liz, for that.
I'm just I feel that we're all on the same page in terms of we need to take these people out of the middle, from between us and these people makers, these process makers. But we need to do it in a way that we've always got what we needed was on the streets. We didn't get the vote we didn't get civil rights until we rioted. We didn't get liberation until we
That is true. That is true.
We didn't get emancipation because of some piece of paper in Parliament. We broke those chains, and I saw Bassa on the roundabout in Barbados last week, and I thanked him. Solidarity.
And you cannot fight behind closed door. You need to be out there visible. You need to be out there visible so that other people can see what you're doing as well, because that's another issue. A lot of people, British people, think Windrush has been sorted. They don't know.
We're not on the street.
They don't know that there are people still suffering.
We could be out there. I agree.
Thank you.
So we've got about 6 minutes. I'm just going to, Mimi, can I just ask you, you've been listening.
Just make a comment there, please.
Yeah. Go ahead, Roland.
Are you saying we should go out on the street?
What you're saying
is
saying that we anything that we have achieved thus far, right, in our history, it's been on the street, whether that will be civil rights or whatever.
Can I respond to that? Let me be clear on this.
Go.
I don't think we need to be on the street at this point. Why would we be on the street? If we go on the street, what will we be going on the street for? Who was it that said we should be on the street? Was it Liz? Sister Liz?
Yeah, Liz.
Okay, Sister Liz, Sister Liz, all on Sister Liz. Sister Liz.
Every year, every 6
all on
months.
Sister Liz, all on Sister Liz. If we're gonna go on the street, what are we gonna go on the street? What's the reason for going on the street?
The same reason it was in 2018. We are not we're not getting, they're deporting us, and they're deporting us, and they're still not giving us our status, and they haven't given compensation to the people who are living homeless on the streets.
Well, I'm saying we're past that stage.
We haven't passed it. Because
hold on, please. Hold on, please. Hear me out, please. Right. We keep saying the scheme is not fit for purpose. We want this and we want. That's what's going around in circles. We need to be specific and concise as to what we want. They say they're going to reset the scheme. We need to engage them and say to them, what is the reset? Here is specifically what we want. Grandchildren should be able to claim from as close family members. Go through the list and say to them specifically.
When you get on the street, the press will say, why are you out here? And you can go through
and what?
Ask Brother Roland.
Let me say this. I totally disagree, because I've heard a number of individuals say we need to raise the profile. Raise the profile for what? We can't just keep saying the scheme is not fit for purpose. This is not being done. We need to say exactly and concisely and precisely what is it we want. That's the stage that we're at. And this is what needs to...
The scheme is not fit for purpose. I'm not saying we need a reset. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm saying that we need justice for the Windrush generation. Period.
What does justice look like?
Nothing else.
What does justice look like?
You and I know, but the people on the street, like you said, think it's already done and dusted. Until they see me out there prostrate against the House of the Commons or the gates of Parliament, they won't know that we haven't got justice. But I'm not going out there on my own, brethren.
All I'm saying, I will not be on the street. I'll be talking directly to the Home Secretary, talking directly to the Home Secretary and the decision maker and said, these are the changes that we need. This is where we're at the moment.
I've done that and I've got no reply. So, you know, until there's only one way these people listen. If they don't listen.
So I'm saying we've been on the streets already, right? And we still have not got the result. We're going on the street at the moment because I'm not going to elaborate on that. Well, one of the first, I've said clearly before what needs to be done. Tell those people that are engaging and speaking as decision makers, don't speak on our behalf because we know not what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I have to say that the 2018 demonstration brought us the Windrush Act. Since then, we've had lots of different improvements, but we still haven't got the, we're still like under 20% people getting compensation, and people are being told to come back to England.
We've got the Windrush Act.
But the point that Roland,
we've got the Windrush Act, and the Windrush Act, we got the Windrush compensation scheme, and I'm saying a lot of things that were allowed to go in the Windrush compensation scheme should not have gone in it. A lot of people that should have been at the table were not at the table. So this just going on the street and marching, I need to know where I'm marching to. And at the moment, a march on the street, as far as I'm concerned, we're marching and don't know what we're marching for or where we're marching to. It's at the point now we need to hold the Labour Party. And I know a lot of people do not want to do this because they want to go into deflection and distraction. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, said, and the Home Secretary said, and the Minister is aware, they said they're going to do. We need to hold them to account and let them do what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
In addition to that, we need to call out the pacifiers in our community and tell them we don't want it to be doing that. And I'm clearly saying there are people within our community that are being used as pacifiers. That's what I'm saying. It's like when I hear some people say, we need to come together. Come together to do what? What are we going to do when we come together? Because we're coming together. The term lions being led by donkeys is there for a reason. You come together, you're going to go somewhere and you're being led by a donkey. You're going to end up in the wrong place, even though you're a lion. And I'm saying we are at risk of being in that situation. Lions being led by donkeys. We need to ensure that we're not being led by donkeys over a cliff. It may not sound polite, but that is the case. That's where we are at the moment. March on the street for where? For what reason? We need to be clear and concise. That's what I'm saying at this point in time.
And I agree totally. You know, having a direct dialogue with the people who can change and make the changes is the Home Secretary, is the Prime Minister. Those are the people that can make the changes, and those are the people we have to be engaging with in order to get the changes, right? And if we can achieve that, you know, with an engagement with those two individuals or that department, then you know, we can then see what the recess would look like, because then we'll be influencing the reset.
I'm not going to.
With due respect, we can do both. And I have to leave now because otherwise I can't join the other Zoom.
Okay, no, that's fine, Liz. Thank you for your contribution. We can do both, and there are organizations out there that is doing that, and that's fine. But you know, we have the opportunity of sitting and influencing the change with the Home Secretary and with the department. Then you know that is the route that we need to focus on, so we can get the changes. Yeah, that's very important. Mimi, can I just ask you to come in just for a couple of minutes, because I know you've been listening, and it's now 4 o'clock. In terms of what you've heard this afternoon, what's your thought?
Oh, hello, Garrick. Good afternoon. Yeah, I've actually been in between sleep and wake, so I'm not a very good source.
I see. I thought you were listening in the background. Okay. All right.
Yes, I was. That's the bit I heard some of it.
Yeah, don't worry.
Thank you.
That's fine. So it's now just after 4 o'clock. So what we've done, we've talked around, a number of issues in relation to the Home Office, and we talk around, the fact that the Home Office put out a telephone number that actually doesn't work, and that in fact has done more damage than good, because people, are now conclude that, that's probably deliberate. Nobody has corrected that. And we've talked around, how this new government is going to address the outstanding issue around Windrush compensation scheme. And clearly, we have the opportunity of influencing the current Home Secretary, to push this reset change. And we need to be engaged with that process to make sure that, from a live experience perspective, we're bringing the issues that need to be resolved. You know, there there are a number of things that we believe will make the scheme better, right? And that is what we would like to do, to make sure those recommendations get in front of the Home Secretary for consideration. And I'm still waiting for the appointment of the public commissioner. When that take place, then that way further opportunity of engagement. But clearly, the process is, it needs to continue. That one meeting with the Home Secretary, I think, is the start of something. I'm hoping that that format will continue, but in between that, we need to know, what is happening, what changes, and until you see, positive, tangible evidence of change, we will still be challenging, for improvement. That's where we are, and we need to continue to challenge the government for those improvements. And we've mentioned a number of those. We've recorded this session for a good reason, because other people will be able to play this back and listen to the conversation and some of the things that we have suggested that can improve the scheme. We don't know how long we have to wait to see this evidence of change, but we cannot stop challenging the Home Office, because when we stop, they will think everything is fine. There is no need to change anything. And the answer is a lot to change. We're still not happy with the scheme and the policy and processes that we have at the moment. So I'll stop there. And that is the end of our Sunday chat. Thank you very much for your contribution. And the next time we're on this platform is the last Sunday of the month. Considering it will be close towards Christmas, I don't know whether people, but the platform will be open the last Sunday of the month, should people want to join and pick up on any conversation or to raise any point. But just to say in conclusion, for advocacy support, we recommend you visit liverpooladvocatesforwindrush.org. That is the website dedicated for helping individuals with their claim, liverpooladvocatesforwindrush.org. And regardless of where you're living in the country, or outside the country, you have access to that information, and you got access to the advocates who will assist you. So thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.